45-yard line, I don't wanna kick it with you. No photos, I'm focused on the bigger picture. Tell me when you back in town, I get dinner with you. Never used to get up in the kitchen, now I'm cooking with the gas. Yeah.
The number one rating for QB, which was who? We all know. I don't.
I hate this kid.
Wait, we're not transitioning over into the Madden ratings yet, but
Yes, we are.
one more topic.
We are.
One more topic. So Bryson mentioned how at the combine.
Dude.
Bryson mentioned.
Kai, chill, bro, chill.
Bryson mentioned at the combine how fans won't be able to attend due to COVID. So then COVID has also stirred up a new conversation due to the new NFL protocols.
Correct.
Let me pull that on the screen. So they sent out a memo. So pull up this. And we'll highlight that. Zoom in. So according to Thursday's memo, vaccinated players or staff who test positive, vaccinated players that test positive or have asymptomatic symptoms can return to duty after 2 negative tests in 24 hours apart. So as long as they have 2 negative tests within 48 hours, they are allowed to return to football activity. But for non-vaccinated players who test positive, they have to remain away from the team in isolation for 10 days.
10.
So
Dramatic.
you got to think
It's 10 days now? I thought it was 5.
At least that's what this article says. Let me see when this was posted because I do want to make sure. Because
I thought we talked about this the other day and it was only 5.
It was only a couple weeks ago.
This is from
Are you putting off
NFL.com.
getting life insurance because you think it's
like 2 weeks.
complex, expensive, and time-consuming? Are you concerned about
Free ad.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We're not sponsored by them.
Yeah,
Or anybody.
this was posted July 2nd, 2021.
That's okay.
Oh, July 22nd.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So, dude,
Man.
10 days, that changes.
That's tough.
That's for sure a game. Like, you're no matter what missing a game, probably 2. Like, if you just get into close contact.
Do they test on game days?
They test
Every day?
They probably have
Every
to.
Every day?
player,
They probably
every
have to.
player is getting tested.
Yeah, you're looking at
All the time
potentially 2.
That'd be annoying getting tested all the time, though.
So the person I want to bring up is Kirk Cousins. Recently, the Minnesota Vikings
Big Kirk.
had a COVID break in their quarterback room with Kellen Mond testing positive for COVID. This caused Nate Stanley and Kirk Cousins to have to go onto the COVID list because they are presumed to be unvaccinated. It's not on record, but since they had to stay away from the team for 5 days. So maybe it is 5 days, and maybe that guy got the article wrong because Kirk was only out for 5 days.
I was going to say, he's already back at practice.
Yeah, so Kirk's already back at practice. And when Kirk came back, he had a press conference. And Kirk Cousins, this is just some of the things that kind of came from the Kirk Cousins thing. He's kind of talks in a way that he's going to control the situation, going as far as saying that he'll get plexiglass to protect himself. He said that he's going to follow the protocols and that he's going to be very vigilant is the word that he used multiple times in trying to avoid contracting this virus.
I want to see Kirk with, like, plexiglass trying to take a snap or some shit. Like, what are we doing?
Keep in mind, he also said
Come on,
he was
Kirk.
willing to do whatever it takes when it comes to winning a Super Bowl.
And,
But I'm not getting that.
and
Go
that
ahead.
and that
Okay.
brings me
He says go ahead.
And that brings me to a quarterback
Kirk,
that is around the same, I would say, playing level. Like, they're both very similar. Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill changed his mind on the vaccine and decided to get vaccinated because he wants to win a Super Bowl. He wants to give his team the best chance of winning, and that's availability. That's the most important thing in the NFL. So that brings up a debate. I'm not saying that people should be vaccinated or shouldn't be vaccinated. I'm saying that in the NFL landscape today, due to the protocols, teams that have a higher percentage of vaccination have a better chance of being more available on the field, which translates to more wins.
That's a fact.
So
That's no cap.
it gives you a
Yeah.
competitive
No
advantage
cap
to have
sports.
more vaccinated team, and then if players aren't getting vaccinated, this is going to affect them getting future contracts as well. So it's just a big implication, and I would like to have a discussion on what you guys think of it. Trying to stay away from like any political things, but more so just trying to talk about how it's going to affect the NFL going forward.
Like you say, I think just being available for your team is the biggest aspect, and to not even get political, you just got to think of how you're going to win games. And if you're absent in a week 8 or 9 game where you need to win there against like a division opponent, if you're not there because COVID and you could have been vaxxed and made that like isolation shorter, you're tweaking.
That's a good point. To kind of add on to that, going year by year, this is probably going to become more and more mandatory. Not even just for sports, but kind of everywhere in any job force, really. But specifically in football, GMs are already looking at guys every single year. Who's aging? Whose play is going down? Are you a problem off the field? And now we're talking about
got that list.
Yeah, right. You're on the list. Not only injuries, but now we're talking COVID. It's just another thing in the box. Are you going to be there for us?
Another red mark.
Especially when you're a Super Bowl contending team or pushing for that.
Right.
You're in a contract. Is he in a contract year?
No.
Kirk's locked up.
Kirk's is for 2 more years.
2 more?
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's coming up though. He's gonna be due for another big contract. Like he's at an age where he's gonna get another 4 to 5 year contract on big money.
Zim is pissed too. He wants to win.
Well,
He does.
He's
fed up
on
with this.
thin ice. So
Yeah.
Zimmer got a
No cap.
good team. This team is a talented team. The Vikings is good. I know that I'm clearly a Vikings fan.
Really?
But
Are you serious?
this team is
Hold on a
good.
second.
And they're kind of all in. So then when a player is making a decision that is more for self than the greater, or not for the better holistic of the team, is like it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, well, you're gonna pay a lot of money to win games, but if you're gonna miss potentially like up to like 5 games due to close contact, you can't control it.
Right.
You can't have it.
You
You can't
can't-
have that.
I mean, it's the whole like Bryson said with the workforce too. The best ability in life is availability, right? To be dependable, to be there when your team needs you or when your work needs you. But at the same time, like for me, I'm like, if you get the vaccine, are you like with Kirk, right? At all costs, he's gonna make sure he's protected, right? At all costs, whatever that means to him. So like, I'm almost like, all right, cool. This is a job. That means you're not going to pull the Michael Jordan going out to Atlantic City partying before Game 7
Why
or
not?
Game 6
Shout
on the
out
fluke
Atlantic City.
because you're
Shout out
going to
Mike
be more
Jordan.
cautious. So where you get other guys who maybe because they're vaccinated, they'll go out. They just, rookies just got their first paycheck. They'll go out downtown Miami, let's say, and everyone has COVID there, or at least one person does, and they don't even know it.
What are you
But-
doing, Miami?
I don't know, dude. But I'm just saying, like, if anything, I feel like if you're going to isolate, because what Kirk Cousins is going to have to end up doing if he's going to be a man of his word, right? Like, at all costs, I'm going to prevent all this, yada, yada, yada. The only thing he's going to be able to do is study the playbook and watch film. So I'm almost like, honestly, like, I'd rather have you doing that than going out in the public, doing whatever you want. You're forced now, like, to literally only be thinking about football. So I
That's
don't
true,
know,
my
like
friend.
for
No.
me,
I agree. I mean, hey, in a perfect world, if he's able to stay away from anyone that is that does contract the virus,
Which
that
is
will
impossible
cause,
to do.
the cause close contact. It is starting to spread way more rapidly. So it's like if he could do those things, great, and he's able to play in all the games, and the Vikings are able to make the playoffs, and they're able to make a push, and Kirk Cousins is a leading force in that. That's the perfect world. But like it's a variable that you can't control, so it's unknown. It's an X factor. It's something that could derail the whole season, and there's nothing that you could do about it. You could try your best, and I hope that he does, and I think that he will. But it's just like it's something that's out of your control at the same time.
And we're only in. We just got through the Hall of
I
Fame
think,
game.
like,
Go ahead.
if the NFL's doing their job, I think it is in their, like, if they're taking the proper precautions and everything they say, where like you do these simple things that'll prevent you for the most part from, ever being susceptible to it or whatever, like it is in their control. But the one part where I don't think it's in their control is, which I don't really understand, because I guess they're still allowing fans into the stadium, correct?
Correct.
So that's like, for me, at least last year, it's like that's when the big outbreaks would happen, was when a team would play a game and then someone the next day would test positive for COVID. And so now it's like both teams are out for a week or two.
Yeah, that's my biggest
all
concern.
these rescheduling. But now you're adding in a whole nother factor of thousands of fans, because I know the Vikings, at least last I looked, were at full capacity. So now, right, like what's considered close contact with fans, like especially in Minnesota where it's a concealed arena.
Yeah,
like
I agree. I don't know why you wouldn't have it comparable to like other sports though, like baseball. I mean, there have been fans in the stands all year long, and their COVID protocols, like you're not missing any games now due to COVID. In the beginning of the season, they were like April, May. There was games getting canceled all the time, but now it's like it's not like COVID is any more or less prevalent. Like why is it still so strict on NFL right now? Because of closer contact, but you can still transmit it to baseball.
Well, that's another good point though, because actually the protocols, Kirk mentioned in his presser that there's a memo coming out that the protocols could change in coming weeks, and that the situation is always fluid. So
yeah,
it's ever changing, folks.
So as more information comes and as numbers change and all this yada yada yada, and like we'll see how the first few weeks go. Things like that, like protocols could change, like things could go back to normal. It could actually not even be a big concern at all, and it doesn't even affect the landscape.
Have
of the
hope,
NFL.
Minnesota.
I mean, but here's like, what are the Detroit Lions doing though? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of Michigan's already back into quarantine.
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, because my thing is look, like it comes down to like with anything, right? People don't care about bad news or inconveniences. They care about surprises. So like, if it's fluid, great, it could work out to your advantage. But at the same time, like these players, like you got to think like they already got to prepare. They got to get their bodies right, especially when it comes to in season. You're really going to change up the COVID protocol and the consequences, like in the middle of a season based off of what some like health statistic that came out for a week. And then the next week it gets way worse or something, like, or there's an outbreak in a team in a division that's not even in yours. Like, there comes a point where I think, like, before the season starts, they need to just set a rule and just run with it, regardless of what happens.
Well, and then I want to like also